With so many broken guns in the CSGO history, ranging from the R8 when it first got released, to the AUG and the Krieg which took the pros years to discover, there's a lot that goes overlooked. One of those forgotten guns we'll be talking about today, as well as how you can use it to structure that next ranking. Let's get into it. What's up, ProGuides fam? I'm Boggs, and today we'll be talking about the XM1014 and how you can use it to get lots of free kills and cheese some extra wins. So make sure you subscribe and let's get started.
Real quick, I just want to let you all know that we have a 25% off discount going on the website right now. All you got to do is go in, check out, and enter code FPS25 to get that 25% off discount.
Before anything else, let's take a deeper look at the stats and how it compares to all the different guns. The XM is the most expensive option among the shotguns, costing a whopping $2,000. And honestly, considering its price level, it is better to compare to the FAMAS than anything else. It's not really something you're going to be buying on ecos or half buys, and of course, since you're paying significantly more for it, it's going to be a lot better than the other shotguns. Since it is a shotgun though, that does mean that it's mostly going to be useful on the CT side, just because that's where you're going to control the engagements. Don't get me wrong though, what we mentioned might all sound pretty negative, because honestly those are the downsides, but that doesn't mean it's not an insanely strong option. I mean, that's why we're making this video in the first place, right? The truth about the XM is that when compared to the FAMAS, it is an extremely strong, although a bit gimmicky option. But if you play your cards right, it is 100% more effective. It's so strong in fact that sometimes on maps like Nuke and Inferno, I'll buy it over an M4 or sometimes even an AWP, even though I might have the money to buy the alternative. In certain positions on those maps like mid, banana, and top of hut, it is just so incredibly strong to the point where I won't even want to use anything else. The reason for that is because, first of all, the incredible range that this gun has. The one-shot range is far past what most people think it is. And then to consider that you realistically don't even have to get that one tap to kill your opponents. After all, it's very easy to confirm the kill with your second or even third shot because of the full auto it provides. A lot of people are generally hesitant to bring out shotguns just because of the fact that you know they're not very versatile compared to the rifles, and are scared that the fact that they are going to have to play so close is generally going to be really predictable, and that they're going to get cleared out with utility. And to be fair, that's very valid. I get that. But with the XM, you shouldn't really be worried about that all too much because of the fact that it has that full auto and the comparatively long range. It's very viable to play even at mid-range and allows for a lot more creative ways to use the gun. It really is something special and insanely underrated. And then we haven't even considered the fact that it has a $900 kill reward, which means that it basically pays for itself in 2 kills, whereas an M4 would take 10 to do the same. That brings us to the question of the day, that being, do you use the XM? And if so, in what situations? I personally use it very often, especially on Nuke and Inferno where I think it's the strongest, but I also believe you can make it work in just about any map. Vertigo's another really good one for the shotguns. What about you guys though? Have you been abusing it already? Are you going to give it a try after watching this video? Or do you still have your doubts about the weapon? Whatever it is, make sure to tell us below as to why. No matter if you love it or hate it, it's still interesting to see why. So don't be afraid to comment and show your thoughts down below. Before we move on though, I'd quickly like to say that if you're struggling to use the shotguns even after watching this video, perhaps you could take a look at the Simple Master Course. Simple is one of the best, if not the best Counter-Strike player we currently have, the privilege to watch, and if somebody knows how to play, it's definitely him. Luckily for you guys though, we managed to partner up, and he brought you a great all-around course which you can find over on our website, ProGuides.com. So now that we mentioned the gun and its stats, how do you use it in game? Like we said, it's pretty easy for the most part, but if you're creative, you can make it that much more powerful. For example, one of the standard spots you can use the shotgun is top hut on Nuke, which I mean, there is not a lot to say about. It's just insanely strong. Either you can play on top of the hut and wait for people to run out, which is really hard to deal with because you'd be right above them and you can end their lives with just a single shot. Or if that becomes predictable, you could also play close to the exit next to it or even inside of hut. All of those spots are very effective and enormously annoying to clear. Hell, you could even switch it up some rounds, push inside the lobby where the fights would still be well within the range of your XM. But if you're more creative and you want to catch your opponents off guard, you could either play under secret, around main, or also close ramp on the same map. Hell, if you really wanted to do an interesting play, you could even rush door with a nade on T side, then quickly use a smoke to get out the door and down the vents, and then hold it in order to completely ruin the day of anyone that decides to chase you down. You'll probably need to practice that kind of play a few times in order to do it fast enough, but once you're able to, it's going to get you lots of free kills. On Inferno, on the other hand, you could obviously use that gun to hold banana from around the sandbags area. There you can play, unpeek, re-peek from behind the sandbags itself, and still have enough range to kill anyone running in. But if that's more your style, you could also just play the close wall, like people do more commonly. The apartments are again a very strong position to play the shotgun, whether you decide to do that in boiler, on the stairs, or just above the stairs on either side. What I really like to do though is play either just outside of apartments on the balcony, just under the balcony playing around the hay bale, or even just on short holding for people to run into the long short crossfire. From there you could always fall back slightly and hold anyone running to the short all the way. For example, if your teammate gets smoked off or just isn't really playing with you, and you'll again have a good angle that your opponents don't really tend to expect. Playing just outside of apartments on balcony is similarly strong because of the fact that it's a really difficult angle to clear for your opponents, and it's also kind of hard to flash. You've got a really nice close range angle, and you have an insane amount of room to get creative with that angle. Something you could do, for example, is stand on top of the railing to get yourself a lot higher than your opponents might expect, or you could even get slightly behind the railings and hold a weird off angle while crouched to get the opposite effect. The angle works great especially for people running out of apartments, but even so, if they go short, they're generally close enough to the point where you could kill within 2 to 3 shots depending on the exact angle that you're taking. If you think people on short are too far though, you could always just quickly jump off and land in a mini pit, and again, get another good fight. Oh, and the same thing goes for when you get flashed. Finally, playing under the balcony around the hay bale is something that's perhaps a bit risky, as if you do get found out to be there, it can be fairly difficult to get out. But if you play your cards right, that should only happen after you get a kill or two. After all, in order to get cleared in that position, somebody would have to essentially expose themselves to the entire site, and it's a really difficult angle to clear simply because of that. The angle also allows you to switch your attention between both short and apartments, and is not commonly checked at all. That being said, those are just a couple angles that you can choose from, and on Inferno especially, I'd highly recommend you to experiment and find the ones on your own as well. Reason for that is because Inferno is a map all about close angles, and there's both way too many angles to discuss and probably also a lot of untapped potential that you can go and find on your own. Of course, those two maps are where the XM is most at home, but that doesn't mean it's useless on other ones. On Mirage, for example, a fan-favorite map, two really good spots that you can play it are close ramp on A and around the van on B. Close ramp in particular is an angle that I personally like playing the XM on a lot, as I believe it gives me plenty of free kills on people either just completely forgetting to clear me or just not being careful enough considering the fact that I have a shotgun. But you can also use the gun to peek deeper into ramp and even get inside of it, whether that's for info or a more pushed up position, or even perhaps if you want to fight the people there. The B apartments are generally not a position that's pushed very often unless it's with a rush, so if that's the case, playing close car, under window, or even top of the balcony are all great spots to get easy multi-kills. No matter if your opponents have AKs or Tech 9s, you'll be able to munch all of them up with just a few shots of the XM, and feast on the easiest multi-kill of your life. The only big weaknesses of doing this is if your opponents are great at working mid and your teammates always allow them to get onto short, as fighting short from van with a shotgun may not be the best idea. But even if that's happening, nothing is stopping you from playing there with your new beloved gun as well. Sure, you may not be able to easily contest the entirety of mid, but you could very effectively play in ladder room, killing anyone trying to take short, or even just behind the concrete where people usually boost. Even on maps like Train where ops reign supreme, because of the many long angles, you could easily get away with playing an XM close ramp on B or inside a pop dog. If you play B, you could even push up all the way into hell showers without ever having to worry about people playing an angle too long for you to fight. Even on the newest addition to the competitive map pool, which has not yet been fully explored by any means, Vertigo, you could easily get away with playing the XM. You could do that either on A site towards short, on mid, playing quite literally anywhere, no matter if you do it pushed up or even close to the boxes where people like to boost, or on the B bomb site, either close to ramp, pushed up ramp, or more towards quad. To summarize, the XM is a great gun. It outdoes all of the other shotguns easily and is a very strong competitor to the FAMAS and is much scarier when played correctly. When put in the right positions, it can even be better than an M4 or an AWP, and it's definitely overlooked. It does not really take all that much skill when it comes down to aim at all, but it generally does greatly benefit from having a big brain and using it creatively. After all, it does kind of rely on catching your opponents off guard, especially as you reach the higher ranks. It is kind of costly considering it's only a shotgun, but since it's a shotgun, it also quickly pays for itself, and that's not really a big deal. If nowhere else, try it out on Nuke and Inferno, and if you like it, try it out on the other maps as well. As long as you put some time into it, I'm sure it's going to treat you as well as it has treated me, and you won't regret giving it a chance. With that said though, that's going to end the video here, so if you did enjoy, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. It's free, and you can always change your mind later. We're getting closer and closer to reaching 100K, and we really can't do it without you, so we'd really appreciate your support. Otherwise, don't forget to head on over to ProGuides.com and have a look at the simple master course, and we'll see you guys in the next video. Peace out.